Welcome into the Daily Wolves Courtside. I'm your host, Evan, and today we got another round one matchup for another year. The Minnesota Timberwolves. That's right, you guys heard it. Another year after all those years of missing the playoffs. They're in the playoffs again, and they're going to be facing the Los Angeles Lakers in round one. We kind of were waiting today to see how the dust settled, Andrew, and it settles with the Lakers here. And we didn't know exactly if Minnesota was going to be the playing in against the Grizzlies for the play-in game, depending on if they won today against the Jazz, which they took care of business, thank God. But and then we just were kind of waiting on all the other games. The Nuggets played the Rockets today. Obviously, the Clippers and Warriors faced, and it kind of all those games had implications on today's outcome or matchup, I guess. And now, I think we had talked about on our show that we had the Lakers potentially as the hardest matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. How do you feel about the outcome today? And kind of, Andrew, like, what did you feel of today's game, I guess, against the Utah Jazz?
I mean, I thought the game was awesome. Like, this is what you do against a bad team. You just go out and handle business. Energy level was there pretty much the whole game. They were trying. They were like making multiple efforts on defense, playing defense. Rudy was great, rebounding. It's just they shot sub 30% from three and they shot 40% from the field and they bricked a couple layups. And Rudy, I don't know how Rudy does this where he goes up with a two-handed dunk and somehow like flings it off the back rim. But he did one of those. And it was just kind of like a matter of time. Like at some point, the Wolves they're playing the right style of offense. They're playing well defensively. It was just a matter of time. I mean, the rest of the games, I think everyone got a little bit excited, including like us in the writers' room when we saw that Houston was going to be playing everyone. Because if Denver lost, that means the Wolves could move up another spot in the standings. And if the Clippers lost, then the Wolves could have been sitting here as the 4 seed, and we're talking about a home playoff series. But the Nuggets ended up going out and just kind of blowing Houston out of the water. And I mean, just an overtime thriller with the Clippers and Golden State. Like, that's why they want every team playing at roughly the same time so that you have these like really close matchups where everything matters. I will say, like, pulling the curtain back a little bit, it was pretty funny. The whole Wolves locker room was watching the end of that game. Yeah. And like you could hear them from down the hall when Draymond bricked that layup at the end of the game. Like Ant said it himself of like, we don't care who we're playing against. Like, it doesn't matter. We're ready for anyone. But like when Draymond bricked that layup, the cheers that happened of just like, right on. There's some bad blood there.
No, that's hilarious. And I wonder what the players think of like their matchups versus the Lakers versus the Nuggets, because we knew it was going to be one of the two most likely there. Obviously, after we saw the Nuggets, they were playing the Rockets, and you looked at the score and you saw that they were just killing the Rockets at a certain point. But I agree with you. I saw that the Rockets were playing. I put out that post that the Rockets were playing all their guys basically today. And so you wondered maybe they could pull it off. And if that was the case and they did win and all the outcomes happens the way they did, I think Minnesota would have been the 4 seed and we would have been hosting the Los Angeles Clippers, right? So, I mean,
we would have been hosting the Nuggets. If all of that played out, we would have been hosting the Nuggets, which
that's insane. Wow. Can you imagine that? Like, Nuggets fans are like, all right, please don't, just whatever you do, Golden State, don't mess this up for us. We don't want to play the Wolves. But then there's a potential where they could have played us, and not only that, but we had home court advantage. Like, that's crazy, man. They got to be. I'm sure some of them are breathing a little bit lighter after not having to face the Timberwolves. I wonder how Lakers fans are reacting to this. I'm going to try to see if we can get some Lakers, larger social media accounts or podcasts or people. I don't know. We're going to see what we can do to pull some people in here and kind of preview it with you guys. Get some Lakers fans in here. Kind of. I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, you have LeBron, who's the kind of the guy right now, Andrew, and then you have obviously Anthony Edwards, who's kind of that next step, the next generation. Luka Doncic, who's obviously kind of in that conversation as well for one of those younger players that's going to be good for a long time and arguably up in the top 3 with Ant, Wemby, Luka, Tatum, all those different SGA. I mean, all those guys are going to be in conversations. It's going to be fun to see them play. I mean, Target Center is going to be absolutely rocking today. What did you, I guess, you're at the game today. What's kind of the vibe that you got of the game? Because I posted this earlier. I kind of got this weird vibe. Like they put towels out in all the seats tonight or today, I guess. It's weird having a day game, I guess. but
Yeah.
and it kind of
Hmm.
felt like the towels weren't waving around like you would think they would be waving around all game. Like fans were kind of waiting for stuff to happen. It obviously happens
Hmm.
later in the game. It was just kind of weird. Like Minnesota was never out of it, right? They were just kind of, I mean, it was tied at half basically. So it seemed a little bit weird and like a weird environment. What was the feeling for you? Because you were in the building as well, right?
We were joking about it like in the media of just like how typical Minnesotan like the fan was today because
Yeah.
like this game was kind of a no doubt Wolves were going to win. Like again, it's nitpicky, but like if Utah won this game and they
Hmm.
fell out of the top 3, they would have the 5th overall pick instead of the 4th, which like once Washington won, Utah had to lose because it moves them up a spot if they are not in the top 3. So
Hmm.
again, really nitpicky, but like they're not Danny Ainge isn't gonna let him win this game. I mean, the other side of it was the energy level was there from jump. I think the guys were just missing a lot of shots. They were getting a lot of open shots, like Ant before he started hunting the 3-point record when the game was over. He was really just trying to get into his rhythm. He was attacking, he looked great. Jaden looked awesome.
Hmm.
Fouls aside, Randall was playing great. So it was interesting because there was the fan base that was like, oh god, they're gonna blow this, like they're gonna screw this up. But in reality, this was one of the more well controlled games I think the Wolves have played against a bad team. I was pretty happy with it. I think the vibe like after the game, I think it was like very celebratory. Like Finch in his post game, I have the clip on my ex, but he just kind of said like, "I'm really proud of these guys. We didn't have to make a trade to get here. We didn't have to fire a coach to get
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
Like it was our guys. They figured it out. They came together." This is the second time in team history they've had a top 10 offense, top 10 defense.
Yep.
And they are, if you're the Lakers, this has to suck because you'd much rather play the Clippers or the Nuggets or Golden State, even. Instead, you're playing a Minnesota team that is white hot since Randall came back from his injury. And I mean, we can get into it more in a little bit, but like if you go down the lineups, this Minnesota team matches up really well against the Lakers. It's just the fear that Luka, Reeves, and LeBron are going to go supernova.
Yeah, I think obviously the reason why we had Minnesota as the worst possible matchup with the LA Lakers is because of Luka Doncic, just period. I mean, first of all, you can't ever doubt one of the greatest players to ever play basketball in LeBron James. I mean, what I've watched him do in his career is insane. He's age 40, putting up the numbers he's doing. He doesn't look like he's slowing down at certain points. He can turn it on at any time and you can see it. He looks like he's saving and conserving his energy for the playoffs. I never doubt a Tom Brady. I never doubt a LeBron James, Andrew. And the last thing I want to do is go up against one of those guys. And I think once they make the trade for Luka, it kind of like rejuvenizes LeBron James. He realizes like if this is, I'm not getting any younger. If this is going to be the year we're going to go for it, this is going to be the year, right? This is kind of what it is. And so you look around and you think, my son's here. He's with me. That's awesome. He could be a part of this. Luka's here. Luka's pissed off because he got traded from the Mavericks and he wants to, it might not be anything to do with the Timberwolves, but it's just the factor that he wants to prove, Nico and the Dallas Mavericks wrong. And he wants to show everybody that this is the worst trade in NBA history, right? And so he's got something to prove. He's super motivated. On top of that, he doesn't fear the Timberwolves. He beat them last year in the Western Conference Finals and cooked us. So I think it's just a combination of like that is scary. We saw it last year. They didn't have an answer to guard him. They could not handle it. I will say this. They did come out and say that they felt like they were a perimeter defender, maybe two off being able to handle that. And I think they have that now. I think Jalen Clark is that other perimeter defender they didn't have last year. And I think an underrated perimeter defender as well as Dante DiVincenzo getting added to the mix as well. They have those two guys coming in now that they can throw, back and forth. And Clark is, Dante might not be able to handle a Luka, but he can, or Clark can probably handle it because Clark's a little bit bigger. We know how big Doncic is. So we'll see how they match up. I don't know who guards Ant in the series. I'm not sure anyone on the Lake. Can Finney Smith really handle Ant? Because he might get the assignment. Can LeBron stay with Ant at his age? I don't think so. And that's where Minnesota can potentially have us, is where we look at LA and they don't match up typically well in the big category against us, right? So can Rudy Gobert continue to do what he's been doing, Andrew, recently, right? And be that Utah Jazz version of Rudy Gobert, this unreal version we've seen kind of unlocked. And then how do you guard Anthony Edwards, Andrew?
I mean, that's going to be the question. Is Dorian Finney-Smith is a great defender, but he's not Dorian Finney-Smith of the Mavericks 3 years ago. Like he's been dealing with injuries. Their team is also just kind of odd. Like I've been digging into it kind of since I got home from the game, because obviously this is all I'm going to be writing about for 3 weeks. But like, they don't really have a lot of guard help other than Luka and Reeves either. It's really like, if Luka's on the floor, it's the kind of heliocentric, everything runs through Luka. When Luka isn't on the floor, it's kind of LeBron and Reeves that take over the load. So there's always going to be like a massive scoring threat on it, but they don't have like secondary. Again, this is regular season, I should say. I mean, who knows? In the postseason, all three of those guys could play 45 minutes and it doesn't matter. But like, when you get to this point in the season, it's about margins. And like Rui Hachimura, I'm not trusting him to make like decisions on offense. Like, again, they don't really have Jackson Hayes as their center. I don't know if he's even going to get run time in the postseason. He's been so up and down. And then you look at the Wolves and it's, let's focus on the Lakers for a little bit longer. Like, you look at the Lakers and like, I think Nikhil and Ant are going to be pretty good matchups for Reeves. I mean, that could take care of him for 48 minutes. You look at Jalen Clark and McDaniels, and even Dante has some strength to him. That's probably the three that get stuck on Luka for the majority of the game. And then Julius Randle has shown that he's awesome against like LeBron-esque players, where he can just muscle around with them. And then Rudy's going to be able to just roam, because if Jackson Hayes in there, he's not a great 3-point shooter. If Rui's in there, he's pretty streaky. And if Rui's in there, I mean, they are playing, basically LeBron at the 5 at that point. You go over to the Wolves side, they have no answer for Gobert, which normally I would consider like a shrug emoji, but he's been so good the last 2 weeks offensively that I think you got to factor that in. LeBron's probably stuck guarding Randall, which we know how Randall can just kind of body people in the post. And they don't have anyone for Ant. And if they put Dorian Finney on Ant, they don't have anyone for Jaden, who has shown since the year flipped over that he's able to get to his spots really easily. And then you're trusting Austin Reeves to chase Dante around, or Austin Reeves to face up Mike Conley. Like, I think there's going to be some games in this where it's like 130 to 125. And hopefully the Wolves eke it out. Like you said, though, this is the matchup I was least looking forward to. Like, it's going to be weird. I think it's going to be a lot on coaching, whether that's JJ Redick drawing up plays. The Lakers offense is pretty structured compared to the Wolves. So whether it's JJ Redick or LeBron calling up plays and running like certain sets to attack certain people, or whether it's Finch just really trying to figure out how to make this roster work. Because I mean, Naz Reid, I don't really know if he's going to get a ton of run this game or this series. I just, someone's going to be the odd man out if Clark has to play defense. What are your thoughts on it, though?
No, I could see that. I think there is. Yeah, you're right. There's going to be an odd man out, someone probably that we don't even expect necessarily, or that the fan base isn't expecting. Also, by the way, Parson, shout out to you, man. I appreciate those kind words. We try to do it up here at the Daily Wolves. We appreciate everyone for tuning in today as well. and who's anyone who's came in the past to support us. We try to do it for you fans. So hopefully you enjoy our content. We'll be doing obviously stuff throughout the playoffs. So definitely keep a watch out. But yeah, I think like you said, Jalen Clark he's just gonna get run. I just think he's going to be vital. He's one of those players that a lot of people are going to be watching in this series that aren't necessarily Laker fans or Timberwolves fans. Maybe they're Lakers fans too, but they're like, who is this guy? Like, no one's going to know who this kid is. And they're going to go look him up
Mhm.
and they're going to see that he was the defensive player of
I
the
mean,
year in college.
Lakers fans are going to know who he was. He went to UCLA. Like Lakers, he's not going to shock Lakers fans. I promise you. He
Yeah,
has
but
like
it's
a
going to be
cult
other people
following
then,
out
right?
there.
Like, I think people watching are always like, how do I get this guy on my team? I have a playoff team. Like, who is this guy? Like,
Mhm.
we could use him. He's that kind of a guy that can have that kind of a series. And like you said, maybe Nas's minutes do go down. I thought Nas today looked like he was struggling at bits and points of today. He had some frustrations. At one point, he went out of the game. He walked to the tunnel. They didn't show it on television, but I could tell you in person, we saw it, and he threw his Gatorade cup at the wall in the tunnel out of frustration. Nas was pissed when he checked out today. Those are the things like you see sometimes that they don't always pick up on camera. They aren't talked about, but he's been a little bit weird. He's streaky right now. And Jaden's been pretty consistent of recent. He's always bringing his defense. His length's going to affect. I think if you can limit Jaden McDaniels from shooting the three as much, I think at this point we can just say he's not really a 3-point shooter. I think he's just it opens up everything, and his consistency goes up. We know his defense is going to be there. His mid-range game is like so good at this point. He's just so consistent. I think his rebounding is awesome. Jaden obviously had an amazing playoff run for a few of the games last year, and you saw the upside. And that's the first time I think we saw the Jaden McDaniels we've seen over the last, 3 or 4 months here. I think the playoffs last year, that's when I first started seeing it, and I was like, holy crap, like you're seeing like a really, really high talent on the floor besides just that 3 and D guy that maybe we all kind of thought. And so it's how does Jaden become that big factor in the playoffs, which he could easily be. Then you're looking at a guy I think who's going to be key. Andrew, I think he's going to absolutely explode in the playoffs against the Lakers. I actually think he's going to explode the entire playoffs. That's Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's a playoff riser. I've seen it in the past. Go look at what he did for the Knicks last year. We're going to keep preaching it. He's a dog. You saw it against the Pistons. I saw it a little bit tonight. There was a little bit of pushing, shoving, nothing too egregious, but Dante is one of those guys who, like in a series, is going to get under the skin of another player, and he's never going to stand down. I think Dante is going to be huge. Like I could see like Dante and Austin Reeves for some reason, like going at it in the game. I don't know, or like even like a Luka going at it with Dante. But I think he's going to be a riser. What do you think about Dante and his impact?
I First, I just want to really quick, Jade McDaniels. I do want to just
Mhm.
point out, month of March, 16 games, 3.5 threes a game. He shot 45%. Like he's a streaky 3-point shooter. April hasn't been great. He's shooting 10% in the 7 games in
Mhm.
April. But like Jaden still has that 3-point game to him. I think he's just kind of diversified. Anyway, so moving, Dante, I think, is going to be really interesting because depending on how the first couple games go, I think we're going to find out if Mike Conley can play in this series.
Mhm.
I think Mike Conley is a great asset for this team. Oh, there we go. So Renzi, shout out you. What about Mike Conley? I think he is a great asset for this team, but he's just a 6'1" guard when the Lakers can put out all 5 guys from 6'6" to 6'10. He's going to be the mismatch almost
Mhm.
every possession. And if Mike is getting picked on and he can't hold up, whether it's dodging screens, whether it's, switching out on those plays, it's gonna then move to Dante. And I don't think at this point in the season Finch is gonna have any issue telling Mike, like, hey, this isn't your series. Maybe next one is.
Yeah.
I think it's still a little like I really hope Dante has a really good series. I could also see problems arising for Dante as well. He is a very energetic player. I mean, we saw it tonight, jumping over people for rebounds,
Yeah.
diving on the floor. And there is just a different style of basketball when the Lakers get into the playoffs. And I'm not saying it's a referee thing. It's just Reeves is one of the 15. I think he's top 15 in free throws drawn. LeBron has notoriously had a superstar whistle, and
Mhm.
Doncic gets a superstar whistle as well. Those high energy effort plays that Dante has kind of endeared himself with are gonna get fouls in this series.
Yeah.
And I honestly think Nikhil might be the guy off the bench that really pops against the Lakers just because he's just such a smart defender. Like he just doesn't put his hands in position where they're going to get ripped at. He dodges screens. I mean, if you're playing middle school basketball, just watch Nikhil dodge screens. Like that's something that every college team, every pro team, every high school team needs is like a defender that can dodge screens.
Mhm.
So I think it's going to be a really interesting series. I just think there's going to be a lot of chess moves. I did see another comment from John Latham asking if we could play if TJ Shannon could get more run. I think TJ has kind of fallen out of the rotation because he is a little careless with the basketball, and Finch with his bench unit. I mean, we have a
Mhm.
5-year track record now where Finch, he likes his bench players to take care of the ball. If Ant gets turnovers, if Rudy, if Julius, if Jaden do, they're playing 42 minutes, like they can play through it. With his bench guys, he wants the Monte Morris, he wants the Tyus Jones, he
Yep.
wants Nas, who characteristically is pretty good with the ball. He just wants people that really want make smart plays. And Terrence, unfortunately, even dating back to in Illinois, even dating back to Texas Tech, he's just always had kind of a loose handle with the ball and just kind of makes some boneheaded passes, which at this point in the season, it's just they can't afford a 2 turnover bench guy night.
I think I never thought about the aspect of Nikhil coming in, what you were talking about as well, Andrew, until you brought it up there. And I'm thinking in my head, one of the guys I noticed today who was just awesome for the Wolves was Nikhil Alexander Walker. Didn't end up on the highest of scoring today, only ended with 9. But I thought at the way that he closed the quarter in the second quarter for the Timberwolves today, it was incredible. I mean, it felt like that was one of those things you wanted to have, and it was a momentum builder for the team. And then the coach could feed off it slash the players. I mean, there was 2 defensive plays, I think, in a row to end the second quarter. One resulted in a Rudy Gobert dunk. Then he steals the ball after as like time is, I think there's 7 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Nothing special. But then he steals the ball and they don't get even a shot off. And Nikhil was just so
Mm-hmm.
active in that 30-second span. Those are the type of plays I think Nikhil's going to make in the playoffs. And I didn't think about it, but he's one of the guys, again, like we talked about Dante or Clark, I guess, when people were like, man, I need this guy on my team. Like, man, my Celtics could really use this guy, or man, my Cavs could use this guy. Like, Nikhil is that guy that every team wants. I still can't believe he was just a throw-in piece back in the trade with Mike Conley, the Jazz, D'Angelo Russell, everything like that. But I mean, how great has Nikhil been? It's been awesome to see him play, and this is one of the reasons why it makes us nervous here. I don't know if you're going to be able to obtain him, but I guess we'll kind of see as the season plays out. Before we keep going, guys, on everything, I think we're going to go just to a quick ad break. We appreciate again everyone joining. We have over 1,000 people in here, which is awesome. We appreciate everybody for joining. It's late on a Sunday night, so Sunday fun day up here with the Daily Wolves courtside. We'll be right back.
Today's show is also brought to you by Better, the sports betting app brought to you by Jake Paul. Sign up with our code, the Daily SPN, to get a deposit match up to $200, meaning if you deposit $200, Better will match that and give you $200 in free bets. Better is currently available in 34 out of the 50 states in the US, including Minnesota. If you see your state in the purple, that means you are eligible to download Better and start winning money today. Me personally, I usually find myself taking Anthony Edwards over on 3-pointers made, which I'm actually taking tonight against the Thunder, along with Jalen Williams to go under 24.5 points plus assists. Again, sign up with the code TheDailySPN, all one word, to receive a $200 deposit match and start winning money today.
And I don't know about you, Andrew, but I like winning money, so I would definitely be hopping on that opportunity, especially with the playoffs coming up. You don't even have to bet just on the Timberwolves. You can bet on any NBA team coming up here, or even the NHL playoffs. Obviously, the Minnesota Wild are still in things. For matchup wise, we face the Lakers. We know that, Andrew. Do we know or have you heard anything of when Minnesota would be playing their first game?
Nothing yet. My guess is that league will put everything out probably tomorrow, I would assume. Um, but nothing yet. They haven't figured out TV schedules, anything like that. What I will say is, like, Wolves fans listening, I'm sorry, they're all going to be the second game on a prime time. It's going to be a lot of 9:30 p.m. starts for us here in the central time zone. So make sure you have like energy drinks stacked up, stuff like that. But no, I'm excited for the Lakers. I think this is going to be, if the Wolves can come out here and take care of business in this one, they get to avoid Oklahoma City. They don't have to play the 1 seed until the conference finals. And if they can go out and steal a series against the Lakers, I mean, then it's either Houston, Memphis, or Golden State. And I don't think anyone on the Wolves are especially scared of those three. I don't think anyone on the Wolves is afraid of the Lakers either. This team is, throughout the entire season, throughout all the ups and downs, all of the weird, like not waking up for games, losing 2 to Portland, Kyle Kuzma beating us with the Wizards and then the Bucks. They've never lost confidence. And I think that's a testament to, a lot of times we talk about Anthony Edwards as kind of the lack of leadership, why can't he just wake up for games? Why can't he start first quarters and just like blow teams out of the water? But this team also feeds off of his confidence. And I mean, Anthony Edwards has never shot the ball and didn't think it's going to go in. And I think that's the mentality everyone on this team is going to have going into that Lakers series, which they've had experience now. Finch said it after the game tonight that, last year they were pretty concerned with Jaden and Naz coming into the playoffs because they had never really experienced it. They both missed the season before, Jaden from punching a wall and Naz from, what was it, an ankle injury that year? I can't remember what Naz was dealing with.
Broke his hand. Are you talking about when he dunked it in the Phoenix at the end of the season with the Phoenix Suns, or what?
No, it was before the Denver series.
Oh yeah, I think it
last year. Not last year, the year before. I know Jaden was out with a broken hand, and then Naz was also out for the majority of that series. And Finch was just saying, like, we found out last year that Jaden and Naz are going to show up. Like, they can play in this moment. There we go. Broke fingers with a dunk. Thanks, Ren.
But so I was pretty spot on. Yeah, that was in the Phoenix game.
You were right there.
Yeah, I was right. I was like, not so. Yeah.
But it's just, this team now knows what they are. They know what it takes to get at least to the Western Conference Finals. They have confidence in all 8 guys that are going to be playing. I mean, Dante and Julius have both been there. Nikhil, Naz, Jaden have been there. Rudy and Mike have been to multiple Western Conference Finals at this point. I think they're going to really give the Lakers a run for it. And then it just comes down to health and game planning, which this'll kind of, I think, tell fans a lot about Chris Finch. Like, he's been kind of off and on, getting a little bit of heat from the fan base. I'll just be honest. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side you are, ownership, management, team fully behind him. He's not losing his job even if they get swept. But I think Finch is going to really be pulling a lot of stops on this, where he's not afraid to bench players. He's not afraid to do weird things. Cole asks, are you guys worried about Randall? I'll kick that one over to you, Evan.
I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, Cole, I am very worried about Julius Randle in the playoffs. Now, this is because in the past, if you go look it up, Julius Randle's been in the playoffs a few times. He's been horrible in the playoffs. He's one of those playoff sinkers. Now, is it different this far into his career? He's on a completely different team. He's not with the Knicks anymore. Also, he's not a centerpiece of his team, and the Knicks team was significantly less talented than the Timberwolves team, you could argue. There's a lot more pressure on Randle at those points, which, again, he was younger. Again, being the focal point when I don't think Randle's ever supposed to be your 1A, and we've kind of seen that. I think at this point in Randle's career, anybody would say that. I think he plays better.
Evan, I just want to add context real quick. So Randle's only playoff.
I thought it was 2 playoff. I thought it was 2.
2 playoff stints. He got 2020, 2021, 5 games, not great. 2022, 2023, he played 10 games, not great. That's it. Continue.
Yeah,
Evan.
I know it wasn't like a lot, and there's not a big sample size, so it's tough to be like, this
But
is for
he
sure going to happen.
objectively was bad.
He was
Like,
bad,
he
and
was
so
bad.
it's one of those things that I will say this though, like letting a few years play out and him getting older is kind of one of those things sometimes where you realize I'm not getting any younger. I want to win. And when you play on a team when you see that there's talent around you like he does right now, he might not have seen it exactly when he first got traded here, Cole, but when he comes in right now and he sees Anthony Edwards, how special he truly is, not just hearing about him, but seeing it. Rudy Gobert, I think he grew an appreciation for Rudy in his game. And obviously we saw in the beginning of the year when him and Randall fought basically on the court in public in the Raptors game to where they are now, and they respect the hell out of each other and they play, you see Randall trying to incorporate him, and just the way the team is completely bought in. Like Randall's completely changed as a player. I think for the first time in Randall's career, I mean, I've watched Julius Randall play on the Knicks throughout his whole career and may not have watched every single game, but I can tell you I've never seen Randall play the way he's played in Minnesota the last few months, which is finally buying into a system, being a team player, assisting, doing all the little things. Yes, his scoring numbers have gone down, but he's done so many other things. And I think that's where the maturity, that's where I like have the hope with Randall. But I am nervous. I'm definitely very, very nervous about Julius Randall. But something I'm not nervous about, guys, that's buying tickets on the best ticket app out there, and that's with SeatGeek. We're partnered with SeatGeek over here at the Daily Wolves, and that's where I'm going if I'm going to get playoff tickets for the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the LA Lakers coming up. You can see on the screen there, you can use our promo code, the Daily Wolves, all one word, and get $20 off your next order on SeatGeek. That's right. Enter promo code, the Daily Wolves, all one word. Get $20 off your next purchase on SeatGeek. I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up here, Andrew. I think we kind of went through everything we can go through right now. We've had the live going for 32 minutes. We've had a great crowd in here, over 1,300 people here, which is awesome. You're starting to see Minnesota really prove to everybody that we are a basketball community, a basketball state. So I can't wait to bring the playoffs out. We can't wait to bring you guys some awesome content. We've got some things in the works for you guys as well, some surprises coming up, and hopefully they come to light in the next week or so. We'll see. Maybe there's a special guest or two coming up too. So I guess until next time, guys, as always, Andrew, thank you again for joining, and go Wolves.
Go Wolves.